Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where we are in my basement, currently recording through an app called Audacity and on a computer that is an iMac.
All right. Thank you for the update on modern day technology, Paul.
Yes.
Bringing me right back to 2004.
How do you feel about the iMac? You feel good about it?
I'm over it, man. I'm over it.
He's fucking over Apple. Shouldn't everybody be over Apple?
I like the phones. I like the phones.
Yeah, my phone is some great longevity. The charging point's a little wonky, but other than that, it has.
I'm not over it. I'm just kidding. It's something foreign to me. I was born and raised for 27 years of my life on PC and Android, and I've only been on Mac for 2 years. So of course there's going to be learning curves. So I mean, it is what it is. It's frustrating to say the least, but
I don't know. It's just weird that something becomes like the standard. Like everybody's used to PC. Everybody knows like the little X is up in the top right corner and all that shit. And then Mac comes in here and they're like, we're just going to do the exact opposite. It's going to be in the top left. It's going to throw everyone off. There's no right click. Fuck it. Your mouse only has one button. Like just trying to be different just to be different.
You got to get that right. Like there's some shit about the mouse where you have to have just the right touch to be able to do some shit on it, like within the motion. You know what I'm talking about?
Is it like got gesture activity or something?
No,
shit?
I don't know. My brother Phil showed it to me one time. He was talking about like being able to do. There's like some being able to get to somewhere. You gotta kind of like you gotta finesse it. There's some finesse with Apple, and I think that's what they want. They're like we don't want customers that just want to be able to push down on something. You gotta finesse our technology. You gotta, give it some love.
Yeah, man.
To make it work right.
So, in updating news, man, this is the city we live in. I'm not going to tell you where we guys live.
We've said it multiple times. Yeah. We literally went over our budget. We went over the city budget in an episode.
Our very first podcast me and you came out with, like 6 years ago, whenever we first did a podcast? Was it that many years?
News Radio 816.
It was News Radio 816.
It's still on YouTube.
Don't look it up.
Yeah, don't.
You shouldn't even have said it out loud.
Yeah.
The fact that that's still a thing. But yeah, no, we repped Kansas City hard in everything that we do, man.
So I'm on the rants and
I'm
on the rants and raves page.
I hate that thing, by the way. That's such a garbage fucking page.
It is. But anyway, so some guy posted on the rant and raves and he said, "Hey, rant to whoever broke into my house at 4:30.
Saw that.
4:30 this morning, held a gun to my head, stole my wife's keys, and took her gun."
Yeah, saw that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, no, it was like, it wasn't even a rant thing. It was, hey, I'm looking for tips and we'll pay for any information for anybody who knows about the guy who came into my house last night at 4:30 in the morning and held me at gunpoint and robbed like my wife's car or keys or whatever. Yeah.
Keys and took her gun.
I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't care that much.
He didn't take the car.
I know that's messed up, but
yeah. I mean, that's where we live, man. That's the city we live in.
Did he have his door locked?
I have no idea.
That'd be the first question I asked him. Which, don't get me wrong, all this is awful.
Honestly, okay, hold up. I don't think the door lock thing has ever been... My big thing, it goes back to, like, door locks literally keep honest people honest. That's all it fucking does. If someone wants to break into your house, they're going to break into your house. A door lock is nothing. No criminal walks up planning to rob your place and is like, oh, shit, door's locked. Guess I'll try a different one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me roll back a little bit. Guy broke in, asked for keys to a car.
He held him at gunpoint.
Yeah. Asked for keys to the car, took the keys, stole a gun, and then didn't take the car?
There's 237 comments. I did not read all.
Original posts. I don't know. I'm sure there's more to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that's the city we live in.
Crazy, but it's not just the city we live in. It's the
world.
world we live in.
That's just people.
Shit like this happens all the time. People are fucking pieces of shit and do that. That just sounds a little weird to me. If you didn't steal a car, you came in, asked for the keys to the car at gunpoint, didn't take the car, took the keys, but then stole another gun. I don't know. Unless you're just like panicked, I guess. You're just, it's your first B&E.
Yeah, well, we can read the comments and maybe shed light on it next week. Maybe.
He went out to the car and it was a manual and he couldn't drive it.
Possibility. Highly.
It's lack of education, man.
Plausible.
It's a lack of education in our society.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Johnny, what are your thoughts on clones, man?
Damn.
I know that...
breaking and entering, held a gunpoint in my head, stole my wife's keys and whatnot. How do you feel about clones?
Dude, I think we've talked about it in previous podcasts. I don't know like how far in depth we went into it. I don't think that we did. we know that the first time that they were able to clone an animal of any size was in the late 80s.
You talking about that sheep?
Yeah.
I don't remember her name. It's like Dorothy or something?
I think so.
Does that sound right? Dottie? Dorothy? Some kind of sheep?
Find out.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean what I think about clones? I think that genetically we've figured it out. I mean, you can pick right now what eye color your kid's eyes are before he's born. You can pick what sex your kid's going to be. You can pick the eye color, all kinds of stuff. I don't know about hair color. You might be able to do that too. All these different like recessive and non-recessive traits and stuff.
To say that you can is that you go to your doctor.
You can go to a specialty doctor and do that right now. Like if you like,
but yeah, I mean it's not easily accessible. I'm sure.
No, I'm sure it's not. It's not mainstream
money.
accessible. But I'm like right now, if you want to, you can pay for your kid to have blue eyes whenever he comes out.
Yeah,
you know?
we got the tech to do it for sure.
But I think that I don't know. What about clones, man? What about them? I think that we definitely have the ability to do it right now. Do I think that there's clones our age walking around right now? No, I doubt it.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
You don't? I mean, so you say that there are doubles for presidents and stuff like that, and how accurate can they make that person look like the same person?
There's a ton of people who look like other people, though.
I know there are
all the time.
Doppelgangers, but you can tell small, subtle things, especially with politicians. People scrutinize the video. You have people on YouTube that's all they do is they get those videos, they go over it, they look at it. Like I mentioned last week, with Joe Biden, and one time they saw him with an ear with a lobe, and then they saw one with the
connected or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people see small subtleties like whenever they watch the United States.
You'd have to be able to age them too. Yeah. Like that's the problem. They would have had to have. There's a difference.
I think it's way easier to find a double, someone who looks very, very similar, pay a lot of money to make them look almost identical, and pay a lot of money for them to keep their mouths shut about it and train them to act like that person,
right,
than it would be to grow a clone.
So you're talking about the president of the United States. If we're talking about doppelgangers here, and you're talking about learning their mannerisms, you're talking about learning the things that they do, be that person. You know how long it would take to try, like if I were to be your doppelganger and they made me look like you and I had to learn
some
how
people
you talk.
To some people that comes naturally though. You've never seen impersonations of people where they're like,
yeah, but they don't look like the president.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that's quite a search process, but you find someone who is able to impersonate other people or do impressions of and whatnot, who also happens to look like this person. Man, there's a lot of people out there who look like other fucking people.
I feel like that's a needle in a haystack, though, man.
And yeah, I still think it's easier than growing a clone.
But if they've been able to do clones, and we know, like you said, that the technology, especially with like the stealth bombers and stuff, were 20, 30 years ahead of its time. True. So in the late 1980s, when we're cloning sheep, you don't think that we can't clone a human being full-grown size?
I feel like it would have to grow up.
So at that point, when we clone that sheep, would you say at that point in time that they were 20 years ahead of time from what they actually told us that they were cloning that sheep? Or
possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, very quite possibly. I'd lean on the 4. I'd take the over on that and say yes.
Okay.
My bad, bro.
So I think what I'm trying to say is you think that there is a possibility that they are cloning political figures and they're acting as doubles.
No, I don't. I mean, possibility, yeah, there's a possibility of a whole bunch. But I don't think that's what they're doing.
Okay. Jesse?
No, I don't think they're doing that. You wouldn't to go through the process it would take to clone someone, just to have them, like with, I'm more on the side of being able to do cosmetic surgery and just being able to make somebody like look like another person. I don't think you would do that, unless they had like some kind of like superior genetics or some shit, and they wanted to see them like long lasting. I'm more on the basis that high-ranking officials would have clones made of themselves. That way they could harvest organs and shit and have like direct transplants to make them live for a very long fucking time, or even like transfer fucking consciousness, like. I feel like
you would almost see that happening with clones.
But you wouldn't
before.
Develop.
But they could still do both. I mean, you could be doing that while you're still in office, just acting as a political figure while you're harvesting your clone's organs.
Look at the reason for creating a clone and having them doing a speech. What's the whole purpose of doing that? Is because first of all, you're worried about your safety. That's the first and foremost. Unless there's something there that I'm not seeing. That's first and foremost. You're worried about your safety. You go through all that trouble to worry about your safety, in creating this fucking clone when you just bump up security a lot with, there's other cheaper ways to go about that. I don't think you create a clone to do speeches.
I feel like you go with the easiest,
or
most
you just don't
effective
do speeches.
solution. Like the shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line. It's the same kind of thing. Why do over? I feel like people overthink a lot. Like if you can get a double and train him to like, hey, act like this person, figure out his mannerisms, whatnot, and we'll pay you a whole bunch of money to do it. I feel like that's got to be easier than making a full-grown clone of someone and then coming up with all the stuff there. You have to like, who knows what kind of mental state they're in, and you have to convince them to be a double and all this other kind of. That's a whole different.
Well, we couldn't even imagine what that process
True,
is.
I know, but that's the point.
Exactly.
The fact that we couldn't imagine that process doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means the fact that we can't imagine it means that it's probably difficult enough that it makes more sense for them to just use doubles.
But just as you say, it's extremely hard if they were able to clone someone like that, and the process of doing that and to convince it, maybe it's the complete opposite. Maybe it's fairly easy.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. I just know that I know that we've cloned a sheep. I know that we have the technology to choose. Like, we have figured out to a degree the genetic code. You know what I mean? Like, we have figured out how to modify and genetically alter ourselves in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like one day that's going to be a legitimate thing. And I feel like I mentioned this before with the 23andMe and the Ancestry.com and stuff. That's them getting our DNA. Like, it would not fucking surprise me if that turns into... I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. I really don't. But it wouldn't surprise me if that turns into a thing to where maybe 150 years from now, you have these companies that stem from Google and 23andMe and all these other places that stem from them and break down into smaller companies. But you have companies that end up being like, hey, you want to live forever? We can get you a new body right now that's exactly the same as your body. Your body has lung cancer and it's dying. But we have your genetic code on file, and for a lump sum of $20 million, you can have a new body.
Or it could be like, if I were to do that and I gave him my saliva, whatever, and then my great, my great, how do you say it?
Grandson?
Yeah, grandson. Thank you. Sorry. I don't know. I just couldn't think of the right word. If he really wanted to know who I was, they could be like, hey, for $20 million, we could bring back. It was not going to be.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be you.
You don't think so?
No.
In 150 years, you don't think they'd be able to make an identical version of you with the DNA that they have of you?
He's talking about it wouldn't be you, though.
No. I know that, but they could say, hey, you can know what he looked like.
Oh, I'm sure. But who's going to pay money just to know what you got pictures, bro?
If you had money all day.
Yeah, but it's 2019. Our fucking pictures and shit are premium.
I'm more along the lines with what you're saying, but I think that's another avenue, very slight.
I guess. I feel like it'd be a big waste of money.
That's what I'm saying for the rich elite. If they could do it.
Even then, I feel like the rich elite would be more likely to spend it on some, like... There's the show that, if none of y'all have seen Altered Carbon, it's pretty good. If you like sci-fi. If you like sci-fi, Altered Carbon's pretty good.
It's legit.
But I feel like they're more likely to do that. You would have the elite rich living forever by transferring to cloned copies of themselves, and somehow transferring conscious, I believe, would be the hardest part of that. But I think we figured out the genetic part of it. I feel like if they really wanted to right now with enough money, like let's say money wasn't a fucking option. For whatever reason, money is no option. This is a completely hypothetical tangent here. They could right now make a clone of you. It would not be your age. It would have to age. Like it would have to age just like you aged. But right now, they could take an embryo and make it into Paul Weiss. It could be different. It could end up having like different fucking like, because of life experiences and what goes on and whatnot, it can end up having hair, for example. It'd still be genetically disposed to not have as much or what, you know what I mean? Like it's still got your genetics and it would still be a copy of you, but it wouldn't look exactly the same because it hasn't been through the same life experiences that you've been through and hasn't been through the same, it wouldn't have the same thought process and the same morals and values that you do unless it was raised a specific way, but it would be a genetic carbon copy of you.
Right. And that's assuming it's raised. You're saying whenever you make a clone, it goes from baby to its death. You can't make a clone from
I'm not saying you can make one that's like going to be 30 years old right now.
Right.
Because that's kind of like that nature and nurture aspect of things. Like if you were to have like identical twins, right? There's a great example of this that we naturally see in life that we're able to study is just twins.
They're still very different people.
They still become very different people because their experiences, even being you know, even though they live in the same house for 18 years or whatever, they still end up being completely different people just because of being physically in different places end up separating you quite a bit.
Different friend groups, different, all kinds of different stuff.
I mean, even physically being like something happens to you because you were just an inch this far this way now changes infinitely into the future is how things work. So you can't just clone something. If you brought Napoleon back, Napoleon wouldn't fucking be
some conquering.
No, for all you know, he'd be like, "Oh man, fucking skateboarding is what I've been waiting for my whole life."
Little fucking
Napoleon just
4 foot
up,
5
man.
inches Napoleon out there skateboarding.
Dude, low center of gravity is better for skateboarding. You don't see tall people unless it's like vert.
So do you?
But
go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're cool.
So do you think like the evolution of cloning when it started? Obviously, it started before the sheep. Who knows how long before that?
Well, no, yeah, there's got to be stuff out there we don't know.
Do you think that the way it's evolved is what you talked about in your opening part about cloning? Like you're able to choose the color of eye of your son or daughter. Like, do you think that that's how it's progressed?
I wouldn't call that cloning. I think that that's us
genetically modifying.
That's genetic modification, which
it's called eugenics.
Yeah,
right, in which we've hit on that. But my question is, where do you think it's evolved now? And I know you don't have the answer, but if you had to have an hypothesis about it, what would it be?
Cloning?
Where do you think how far do you think it's gotten since we've cloned that sheep?
Oh, like the stuff that we don't know about, kind of thing.
Exactly.
What I said earlier, what I said about you, what I said where I was like, if money, hypothetically, if money wasn't an option, they could make a clone of you right now. I don't think it would be full grown, but they could grow it into. So I think that exists right now. I think the ability to make a carbon genetic copy, like from birth of another human individual, I think that we have that technology right now.
Okay.
Is it being used? I doubt it, but I think that we have that ability.
So you create, like, let's say it's good technology. You're 23, you're a billionaire. You pay somebody whatever amount of money, crazy amount of money, create a little baby of you. That's the exact genetic shit to grow. Obviously, you'd have to also implement probably some environmental shit like viruses and diseases and shit that you've adapted to through your environment. To where,
are you trying to turn them into you?
No, what I'm saying is you grow them to, like, let's say a mature age. Like, by the time, like, if you're 23 and they fucking do it, and then that baby's fucking 23, so you're fucking almost 50. You're almost 50 at that point, and let's say you need a new liver because you drank like a motherfucker. Well, now you just got fucking liver over here.
You do have a liver that's 23 years old.
Just fucking switch you over. That's like the movie The Island, by the way,
I've never seen that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a really fucking good movie. But, like, you got to keep them, like, unconscious. They can't live their own life at that point because then I don't know.
Yeah, it seems immoral as fuck to allow that. If that were true and that actually happened, and then just say, hey, no.
That gets on the ethics side of clones or clones people, which
it falls right along the line of abortion at that point as far as what is human life.
It's still an embryo. It's still an individual. I mean, it may be a genetic copy of you, but who says that you have any more rights than it does?
Well, and I when it comes to body parts, they're almost able to. I mean, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they can 3D print like organs. Is what I've heard.
Yes. I don't know if we've reached that point. I mean, possible. It's potential.
What they do is it's the same thing as like
the big thing is stem cell research.
Right. Like so they'll take that and then they're able to somehow 3D print it. Look it up. I'm serious.
Well, we've gotten to the part where there's artificial stuff now too. I think it was fucking Kelsey was talking about it at work. Fucking artificial kidneys now is a huge deal. And like I didn't care. I was like, I don't give a shit, but she knows way more about it cuz that's what she's going to school for.
Yeah.
But like that's a huge deal apparently in the medical field right now. In the medical world, is like they've come out with artificial kidneys, so you don't have to get a kidney transplant or whatever. You can literally, and I'm sure it costs a buttload of money, but you can get an artificial fucking kidney put in you that does like defeats the point of like dialysis and all that because it does it automatically inside your fucking body.
Well, that's the thing. Like when they 3D print it, they'll take cells out of your body, and that's what they use as.
Oh, you're saying they 3D print biological ones?
Yes, they're able to use that to manifest it into an actual organ.
Really?
Yeah, is what I've heard it. Yeah, 100%.
Because the kidney I'm talking about is not biological; it is artificial.
Right, exactly.
It is, mechanical and whatnot.
I just want a clone to have a bigger dick and then have it surgically transplanted over to me.
Switch it over.
That's it, man. That's my end goal.
When you hit 60 and you're popping those little blue pills left and right, just do a little switcheroo.
Nobody, I mean, does everybody want to live forever? I think we have like a huge fucking fear of death and shit. And as far as like transferring consciousness, would you really want to fucking deal with this?
Read Tuck Everlasting.
Man, Jim Jeffries says some good shit. He's like, you really want to think for eternity and just be thinking and dealing with shit? Like, when's the last time you had a day without problems, Paul? Try to think. When's the last day you had a day without fucking problems?
That's what's being human being is. There are problems, you solve them.
You want to deal with that forever, though?
You want to deal with constantly problems, and then whenever there are no more problems, what is being human being? Well, I think at some point you're like, yeah, death has its purpose. Like, death has its purpose. You just don't got to deal with shit. I know it's very dark and cynical almost, but I think it's just as necessary as birth. Like is the ending. Everything that begins fucking ends.
And honestly, I feel like if people were alive way longer than they are right now, like if our average lifespan was longer, I feel like then you end up running into problems of people getting bored and then getting on power hungry trips and doing those fucking dark things we talked about last time with the politicians and shit that end up getting involved in like sex trafficking and all this different stuff, because once you have everything, you go for the way out there shit out of just boredom.
Right. So I agree with that statement to a certain point, because one, we know this life for what it is, and whatever well, to an extent, we not everything. What I'm saying is we know part of what it is to be human, but I don't know how this isn't true, or this is just an hypothesis or a theory, you could say, but we're only like a level 0 civilization, and there are civilizations out there, other colonies on other planets and shit like that are level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So if that were to be true, what I'm saying is our knowledge on what it is to be in this universe is very limited, because we still have those issues like you talked about of fighting each other and world war and destroying the planet and shit like that. There could be other things that would make you want to live longer if we knew what those things were, but we're just too oblivious to it.
I agree with you there. I don't agree with the whole level 0 thing. I hate that analogy. And I don't know who it was, but there's a scientist that came up with that kind of shit who was talking about what level of blah, blah, blah we are. But that's so... You can't know without knowing all of them. You can't say we're a level 0 and this is what a level 10 would look like. Like, honestly, realistically, if you put it on a scale like that, we're like a level 653, and it goes all the way up to level 1,000,000, and then there's ones below us.
Well,
like,
that's
you
fine.
You can't know the fucking scale.
And I agree with that, and that's fine and all, but what I'm saying is, why die? What happens if when you die, you don't just stop thinking, you advance another level, because you lived on this earth, you put your time in, or whether or not you die when you're 15 or when you die when you're 100.
I mean, I get that, and that would be nice. That's not my belief. But
no, and I know that. I'm not trying to push it on you. I'm just saying it's easy to think that, hey, man, I would just eventually one day I want it to shut off, and it's over, and I don't have to think anymore, and there's no more problems, and I'm just gone. Existence of me is no longer there, other than pictures and videos. But what I'm saying is I think that there's more to it.
I guess when someone says that there's... Sorry, I hope I'm not cutting you off here, Jesse, because I know you're trying to say something. When someone says that there's more to it, or the same thing with like reincarnation and all that, and this isn't slamming on anybody's beliefs, this is just talking about it on a hopefully logical level. When someone talks about there being life after death, or reincarnation, or like you saying you move to a different level, basically, of being, so on and so forth, I think that is literally the fear of death in us manifesting it into hopes. Like, we're afraid to die. You want to survive. That is ingrained in you on a genetic level. You want to survive. You want to reproduce, so on and so forth. That's part of us. So your fear of death is making these things in your mind where you want to believe that there's something afterwards. You want to believe there's a next level. You want to do this, and so on and so forth, because that is more comforting than, I won't say the truth because I don't know it's the truth. That is more comforting than the alternative, which is just not existing anymore.
But that's always an option, and I think everyone contemplates that.
I think, and this is going to be a little Alan Wattsy of me, but the whole like, oh, we die and we go somewhere. A lot of religions have that, whether it's reincarnation or heaven or hell or whatever. We still get to be us a little bit somewhere, and I think it's just grasping onto, hey, I don't want to ever let this go kind of thing. Which we've only been us for a very small scale of time. Before we weren't us, we don't know. We don't know what the fuck happened back before then. Like, what was going on. Like, we weren't us until that, because this is our scope of knowledge of being us. And I think we're afraid to get back to that place to where we were before we were born, which is kind of weird. Like,
really weird.
No, picture being back before where you were before you were born. Chances are, and this is kind of my belief, I think that that's where you go whenever you die, because that's kind of how I see things personally. It's not some thing. You have to let some shit go at some point, and then.
But what's your earliest memory?
But I'm gonna get back to that just real quick on this one. There is a certain beauty in discovering something. Like for me, it's like a new video game. There is never nothing better for me than a fucking goddamn new video game. I get into, right? That video game will never be the same again. I can never go fucking replay that video game. I'm just trying to fucking think of something fucking
Skyrim. You'll never experience Skyrim again for the first time.
That's a really fucking good one. Really good one. I'm gonna say Fallout 4. Or I'm going to say Fallout New Vegas, actually. Fallout New Vegas. I will never be able to fucking experience Fallout New Vegas again, as long as I'm here. That video game was so fucking amazing. Everything was fucking new, fucking exciting, all this shit. Now if I go replay it, I'm just like, oh man, it's just kind of fucking Fallout. You got to let you experience things. At some point, given that progression, that process of you can only experience so much before you're like, I've already done that. And it kind of loses its oomph, right?
You can't compare video games to life.
Infinitesimally, let's say you get all the way to God and the origin. What do you do after that? You know what you would do if ever you found God and the origin of everything, you being an infinite being?
You'd want to reset.
You'd be like, man, I'm over it. Reset me. I want to redo it. Because you know what was really cool was getting here. Not being here, it's getting here that was fucking so cool. And so there's this, you have to let go kind of thing and let die for all the rebirth kind of thing. I don't know. Like I said, this is very Alan Watt.
No, that all makes sense though. I get what you're saying.
Kind of thing.
And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what happens. You know, it could go either way. But maybe it goes the way where if YouTube would just want to die and shut it off, and that's what it is. But maybe they're...
If you knew everything, what would you do with knowing everything? You wouldn't know what to do with it.
I'm not saying I want to know everything at all.
No, you wouldn't. First of all, but I'm asking you, what would you do if you knew everything?
I have no idea. I'd probably be a pretty happy man.
You would know what to do with it?
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss for...
Ignorance
is bliss for a reason, man.
I think for a certain period of time, but then if I knew everything, then maybe I could travel back in time and relive my life and shit like that. You never know it. And then erase my mind that I ever knew that.
But you couldn't be that person that went back and relived your life because you had a memory of it.
But you don't know that.
If you had a memory of your life and
if you were God and you knew everything, you could do anything you wanted at that point.
You would want to not know. At some point in infinite living and infinite knowledge, at some point you'd get to a place to where you're like, man, it was getting here. That was what was important. I need to, and you would want to not know.
Right. It's like the Marvel movies, you know? What's his name? The villain in the last one. What's his name?
Thanos?
Yeah, like he's trying to get all those power stones so he can rule the universe, you know, and just do whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, he had a weird population control issue.
Yeah. He didn't
but see, I mean, at that point,
what he thought was the benefit of the universe.
If you knew everything, Paul, and then you say...
I'm not saying I want to know everything.
I know. I'm saying if you knew everything, if you were omniscient, and you were all powerful as well, there would literally be no point to go back in time and relive your life, because you already know how it's going to come out.
Well,
it's already
just because if you were in that situation, you don't know that that's how I would act.
I know. What am I trying to say here? I realize that I don't know how you would act, but I feel that if you knew everything, logically it makes sense where there'd be no point to go back in time and relive your life. Because you would know everything before it happened anyways. You're omniscient. You already know.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to...
all I'm saying is, okay, maybe I don't want to be alive for absolutely infinity. But 100 years to me just seems... It's like it's selling me short, man. And I'm just saying, I've seen shit...
100 years is short. I agree.
I think that I've seen when I've had friends die. You know, I've had a friend die specifically. And I've seen some things that make me believe that there's life after death. And again, that could be, you know... just shit that just happened, just, you know, out of randomness, but to me, it made me believe that he's here. And then, and that there is something after death.
I should point out that I'm also hopeful that there's life after death. I don't believe there is. I've always clarified that.
So you don't believe in ghosts?
I believe that there's potential that is a thing, but not in the way. I'm not going to. Give me a second. I'll get to that if you want me to. Let me finish what I was saying. I don't believe that there's life after death in any way, shape, or form, honestly. I really don't. That's truly my belief. Unless science proves otherwise or changes it or whatever, but that's my belief right now. But as a human being, I hope to God there is. Like, I really hope that there's life after death. I hope that there's something different after you die and shit does change around and there's still some kind of part of me.
That's such a selfish way to look at things.
It is, but everybody's like that.
Because everybody's like that. Whenever you say life after death, you're talking about your
just
own
life.
self.
Yeah.
No, your own individual thoughts and what you have here. There will be life after death. Like, if I die, guess what? Some shit will probably still happen somewhere. But our big issue is me. What's going on? What's going to happen to me, man?
Well, of course, me. No, but there's still, like, family members you never got to meet that you'd like to just chill and talk to. It's not just about individualism.
But whenever people talk about life after death, after your death, yes, there's going to be plenty of shit that happens. And you've affected some shit.
You don't know. Maybe everything you're witnessing right now is a figment of your imagination.
I mean, if anything you want to take away from this as far as like a solid foundation of what to do with your life is look at it like nothing happens. As far as you just go away, but you have a huge effect on what you do right now. While you have an opportunity to do some shit and affect the world. Like, that's a good way to look at things. I'm not saying that that's my philosophy on life. It's a good way to look on things. Don't think that, oh, man, me, where do I go after, we all die? Man, I'm scared about death. After I die, I want to know what happens after my death. Why not be worrying about what you're doing right now? Because you're talking about the inevitable that's going to happen.
I think everyone, for the most part, does do that day to day and tries to work on themselves day to day. I don't think that they're constantly, every single day, dreading the fact that they're going to die and say, man, I hope I go to heaven, or I hope I go, I don't think that that's a thing. But of course, it's in the back of our mind, and it's always going to be there. What's going to happen when we die? I don't think it's selfish.
Some more than others. Like I said, I'm pretty set in stone that when I'm done, I'm done, and I'm okay with that. I fucking accept that.
I mean, but that whole question: is there life after death? Yes, there will always be life after death. Always. Like, we're here, right?
Sure.
We are life after death.
Yes, 100%.
I don't know if everybody realizes that. We are that.
Jesse, you're also saying there's life after death and there's other people. Obviously, when someone says the statement life after death, they are talking about them as an individual, their life, their consciousness after death.
How do you know we're all not so connected to where that's kind of just a
no. I get that. But what I'm saying is, when someone says, I hope there's life after death, they don't mean other life and everything else keeps going. That's not what they're fucking saying.
And I'm sure that they were, I'm really fighting for that person because they were probably bringing so much to the table that, man, we really need this person to keep on going after they pass away, that they need to fucking keep going. They brought so much to the table.
I just think we're talking. Sure that's a thing. I think we're talking about two different things. Is what I'm getting at.
I don't know.
Yeah. So you do believe in ghosts though? Do you? Demons, ghosts, shit like that.
That ghost. I don't know.
So if there are ghosts, you're saying they're not human. They are of some other entity, because when you die, nothing happens.
I think there's a lot of shit we don't know. There's a lot of shit that
I asked you a simple question. Do you believe in ghosts or demons?
I'm trying to answer it. That's a very complex question. I can't just go yes or...
It shouldn't be complex because you believe nothing happens after you die.
I've had a personal experience with some shit where I have felt very, very afraid before, and I was in a weird scenario, and I remember seeing some shit. I've actually talked about it on the podcast before, back when I was a kid.
You did, yeah.
But I don't know how much that affects my logic right now towards answering that. I think that there's a bunch of shit going on. I'm not qualified enough to really answer it. I don't know, man. I can't even start on that one.
I don't believe in ghosts.
Can't even start on that one. I don't know.
There's my answer for you, Paul.
What's that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't believe in ghosts.
Fair enough. So do you guys think that CERN might be opening up a portal of some sort?
Who?
CERN.
Who?
CERN.
Who is CERN?
Dude, CERN's doing...
Who is CERN?
They study particle...
Like CERN?
No, they're the Higgs boson. They were the first one to discover the mass of the Higgs boson.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
The one that's 15 miles underneath, and they're shooting fucking protons and neutrons
together, and they were trying to discover the mathematics behind how the universe was created. How the fuck do you not know about CERN?
It's Higgs boson.
Yeah, it's a
the Higgs boson is
so Jesse. So, for instance,
is it like a hadron collider or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the biggest hadron collider in the world.
I don't think it's called Higgs boson.
No, the Higgs boson was there. They know the Higgs boson. They're trying to figure out the density or weight, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm obviously not a theoretical fucking physicist right here, but they're trying to figure out the mass of this particular particle to fill in this equation of attempting to explain.
Like quantum mechanics and all this different stuff. Yeah, I get that.
Where the universe
I get
came
that.
from.
I know what hadron colliders and particle colliders, all this different stuff is. I just haven't heard of CERN.
Right,
I really haven't.
So it's where they found the God particle, and it's in Europe somewhere, and it's like
what is the God particle?
This is the Higgs boson, whatever he said, whatever it's called is what he said.
The Higgs boson.
It's the God
Higgs boson.
But anyways, it's 7 miles underneath the Earth, and it stretches over like a 30-mile radius. It's
a big hadron collider. I got it.
And so, for instance, they dug this big long tunnel, and this is CERN scientists and shit. You had world leaders coming in to see this and shit, and they're doing a demonic ritual. This is CERN, man.
How do you know that's them?
Because it was on TV and everything, bro.
So that's them?
Like I'm saying, I'm 100% sure it's them. This is just one video of many.
Why couldn't someone just make a video like that?
It's not, is what I'm telling you, Johnny. I know for a fact that they're celebrating what they did, because world leaders went and saw this. They have video of it. It was on television, and it was televised. That's what I'm telling you. This isn't a made-up video. This is 100%
What
legit.
is this, though? This doesn't look like a
literally
demonic
looks
ritual.
like
This looks
Cirque
like
du Soleil.
Yeah, that looks like
this
a
is Cirque du Soleil shit.
That is a CERN celebration, bro. 100%.
So they
They're
had
all
so they
smarter
had
than that.
Huh?
All those people doing that shit are smarter than that.
So it seems like what they had.
That is 100%. I will put $1,000 on it right now. Shake my hand.
Here's the thing.
That is what bet me $1,000. Theoretical physicists are setting up choreographed dance.
What I'm saying is,
so what it sounds like is that they had a celebration. And they had a party. So what they did was they hired a lot of acrobats. And they hired a circus to have a fucking circus.
And you're trying to make a plausible explanation out of something you've never even watched. I'm telling you, I've watched this video. People have broken it down, and it is what it is. There's a lot of demonic figures within it. It's not just a whole bunch of actors and they're just playing goofy and doing all this shit. Like, it's specific, man. Like a baby with wings, like raping a woman and shit like that. It's in that video. 100%.
You're gonna tell me that people that have broken down math and understanding molecular fucking science are putting some weight into interpretive dance from other human beings?
You've never once watched it, and you're trying to give them an excuse too, bro. I'm saying just watch it. I'll
machines and shit.
I will send you the link, and there's multiple.
But they think that holds weight. But that holds weight to anything that's fucking happening.
What I'm saying is, they're doing.
Send me these. I'll watch them. Because I'm intrigued now.
For sure.
I really will watch them. I'll talk about it next time on the podcast.
They're doing demonic shit because that's what to them. This whole CERN thing is demonic, man. It's not godly in any way. They're trying to bring up demons, man.
I feel like that's just what other people on YouTube are pointing at the video and trying to tell you, because that makes no sense on a scientific level. Like,
no. It's not just YouTube. When I watch these videos, it's what I gather with my own two eyes. Is what I'm telling you. It's not. I'm listening.
But you said multiple people have broken it down and said that they're doing this and this means this and so on.
No. I'm not saying it means that. I'm saying I've watched multiple videos and that's what I've gathered. Do I agree with what other people say about it? Yes, 100%. But I made my own opinions off watching those videos myself.
So I haven't seen it yet, and I'll watch it. Going off the very, very minimal amount that I know right now, just what you've told me,
right,
and the very small amount that I've seen that you've shown me. To me, the logical thing that I think that they're doing is they had a whole bunch of people there, and it was a celebration, and that is a show. That is part of the celebration. I don't think that's actual scientists dancing and doing that shit. I think that they hired a group like Cirque du Soleil to have a fucking celebration.
No, there are multiple videos is what I'm telling you. And
maybe they did that multiple. I'm just saying, like, let's say something real big happens at work. Something super fucking amazing happens at work.
The one I showed you was probably actors.
And then we have a pizza party.
For sure.
That's their version of a fucking pizza party.
No, not in the slightest. I mean, and you're sitting there talking like you've watched the video. It's a 30-second video. And
it was the very fucking first thing I said, Paul, was this is what I am telling you off of the fact that I have not seen the video.
Right.
With my limited knowledge,
so what I'm telling
this is the part that makes sense.
For sure. That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's fine and dandy, like grapes and fucking strawberries. there are other videos where it is specifically just scientists, not fucking paid actors to celebrate bullshit. They actually come out and CERN makes videos of them doing weird ass fucking dances, like trippy fucking demonic dances.
I would have to see that then.
100%. I'll send you. I'll put the links in there so you guys can decide too what you guys think. I'll put the links in, and again, these are people who are shooting protons and fucking neutrons at each other at fucking the speed of light and trying to create a big bang is what they're trying to do ultimately within our own universe.
We've had hadron colliders for years, and that's how you split atoms and do a whole bunch of stuff and try to...
Stephen Hawking came out and said before he had died, there was a few quotes, and he said that CERN is either going to open up a portal, or he said it has the potential to destroy the universe, is what he said. Those were out of his own that was out of his mouth.
I mean...
That dude holds a lot of weight, especially in the scientific community.
That's the way, like hydrogen bombs or atom bombs and atomic bombs and stuff like that works. Like, potentially you could, like, in theory, create a fucking wormhole, what is that called? Einstein-Rosen bridge or whatever, blah, 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 by doing stuff like that. So I get that.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying. I get that.
For sure. It's just some crazy shit, man.
I'll have to watch the video. I don't believe in the demonic dances.
And
the one question I have for you...
think about some of the most unreligious people in the world
are
scientists, and what you're saying is they're doing something deeply religious.
Well, and I'm going to tell you this, and I know, and I don't want to go down this hole, but I'm a firm believer that science is its own religion. And you guys will disagree because you guys love science so much.
We have had this conversation
and I know,
before.
and I'm just going to leave it there. I just wanted to let everyone else know
real quick,
that
if you believe that... If you believe that
you
science,
guys are fighting it so hard, man.
No,
just like Christians fight fucking for Jesus, man.
Let me finish. If you believe that science, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and stuff, is its own religion, I accept that. Truly, I believe that could be its own form of religion and like mass media, hypnosis, and all this different fucking stuff. I believe that. But when you say the word science, Paul, the definition of the word science is literally just anybody trying to figure shit out. Me fucking taking this and seeing if it fucking falls or floats into the sky is fucking science. So when you use the word science and say that it's a religion, that's ridiculous. Me writing down 2 + 2 or taking 2 fucking cans and being like, oh man, that's more than 1 can. That's what math is. That's science.
If Jesus is real, then they're not crazy at all.
What?
You don't believe in Jesus? But let's say he was on Earth. And
that has nothing to do with what I just said.
Let's say the Bible is real and everything that happened in the Bible is weird, but people are considered crazy and it's a religion and it's a cult. What happens if it's not? Winds up all of that shit is true.
Religion has to do with morals. Religion has
I don't want to go down this road is all I'm saying.
You brought it up, nothing to do with morals. No, you brought it up.
And you guys are trying to defend it so hard. So we don't believe it.
Because it doesn't make any sense. You said science was a religion. Let me address that. Religion strictly has to do with how to live your life. This is a religious thing. If you look at any religion, they have a definite set of rules on how to live your life.
And science has made you believe that you are so small that there's nothing after death and God.
Science doesn't give me any rules how to live my life. They tell me things.
They have nothing to do with morality.
Subliminally, it does.
Science
affects you in
nothing
some
to do
way.
with morality.
It affects you small, and you don't realize
Explain to me one instance where science has told you how to live your life.
Well, according to you, and this is just how I feel, you think that at one point the Big Bang Theory was true, and we are
doesn't tell me how to live my life.
I'm getting there, and so it happened, and that's how just life was created, and we are so small we don't matter.
So if life wasn't created, what happened?
I don't know, but what I'm saying is science has led you to believe that there is nothing after death.
Okay, there's nothing to do with debating about whether or not my control is through some morality.
In turn, it has affected you and how you live and what you will do the rest of your life because that's what you believe is in science.
Science has told me that there's a molecule in the air called oxygen that I breathe.
Is more religious because now you're morally affected.
So we're all morally affected by some sort of religion.
Your shit sounds more religious than mine. Science has nothing to do with the morality in believing in the way to live your life. It is simply attempting to explain the things around you, how your house is built,
I feel like
cameras recording shit.
I feel like everyone's trying to do that. So there are a group of people that believe a whole bunch of
Jesus
different
never created
shit.
Cameras or a good water filtration system for Flint.
He didn't have to. He turned water into wine.
Yeah, very true.
There is none of that shit. Religion is strictly a control of fucking people and telling you morally this is the best way to be human. This is the most authentic way to be a human being is following this religion. Science is never telling you how to be a human. It's attempting to explain why you are fucking human.
For sure, but in science is deep. Science is very deep. It goes
and I could see to where it could be spiritual. I could see to where eventually science and spirituality will line up at some point. You get deep enough within science and understanding of our connection to whatever this consciousness is and this physical body and the entire universe, and you have this crossroads to where they connect at some point, to where you're like, wow, holy shit, this is some deeply intense shit, but we're not anywhere close to there. In science right now, there's no scientist out there telling you who to fucking vote for. There's no scientist out there telling you, hey man, this is how you need to deal with the bad relationship you had with your parents, and this is how you need to come to science.
Has Neil deGrasse Tyson
you need to come to science
and I could be wrong here,
every Sunday. You need to come to science class every Sunday and learn about science, because it's very important you learn about science at least once a week, and we need to set aside a day for science, and to where you really need to focus on science to make sure that you're in good graces with science. Even though that sounds really fucking good, it'd probably be very beneficial if people spent some time learning about some shit, but they don't. There's no religion comparison. Science is not anywhere close to religion.
Are we a democracy? What is the United States?
No, the United States is socialist, a little bit of socialist, a little bit of everything. We're really not even capitalist.
It really is a little bit of everything. You could say it's kind of honestly, it's kind of an oligarchy with like
it's been so much shit.
Rothschild and all these like higher ups and stuff. It's very much like ran by a multitude of a small percentage of people.
We're literally a little bit of everything. We're not capitalists anymore.
Okay, so just the idea that they spin to us is the fact that we're still capitalists, we're still a democracy, we're still a republic, all this shit.
Okay. That's got nothing to do with science.
So science can do the same thing. They can make you feel like you're making your own decisions, you're doing all this because science isn't telling you have to do it, but in some way or fashion it is a religion, in my opinion. What I'm saying is they can make you believe that everything's kosher and you're believing what they're doing.
Who is they?
What the fuck?
It's a community, just like any other fucking religion.
You're a goddamn scientist right now, Paul. You do shit every day that has scientific evidence as to why it happens. You figure out stuff on a daily basis, even at work. You figure out how different things fucking function. The fucking guy who came in the other day to fix the glycol machine, that's fucking science, how that even fucking works. That right there, it doing its thing and keeping beer fucking cold, there's science involved behind that.
Right.
That has nothing to do with religion. There's not religion keeping my beer cold. If so, sign me up. I will pray to that fucking Lord.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that...
But that's science. No, glycol goes through that system.
For sure.
That's a chemical that
I'm well aware.
Figured out.
Can you explain the attack on science to me? Because I'm really curious. Where's this small minority of people coming out of the woodwork that is trying to debunk everything scientific and saying, no, this is wrong. And it's actually not even wrong. Okay, because they're going to the point of saying it's not like they're trying to disprove it in a scientific fashion. Because doing so would make it science. And then that would almost be a bad portion on their end. What they need to do is call it evil. And they don't even have a word with a new thing that they're trying to come up with. What's the point of that? Explain that to me.
So when it comes down to certain things, are when people invent shit and the fundamentals and the basicnesses of science, yes, I agree with that 100%.
Of course, because you can see it.
Because that's what science is.
Yes, I'm talking about...
You can see gravity. You can see color.
You cannot see gravity, but...
You can... What?
In that aspect, sure, that's fine.
But that's not gravity, though. That's something else.
What I'm saying is, like, far out there things that they're like the creation of life and space travel and other planets and shit like that. That kind of science, I'm just saying I'm not a fan of. Is all I'm saying.
Space travel and like where planets are and shit?
I still want somebody to explain this to me. Why is there an attack on science from this minority?
Because, okay,
I don't get it either.
Would you consider NASA
to
science?
take modern science?
Would you consider them science? And we give them like $50 million a day, and what happens? What has happened?
A lot. We've done a lot over the last... We know so much more about the universe than we used to.
For $50 million a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
We know way more than we used to.
Okay.
Which is hugely important.
And that's tax money that I don't have an option. I'm obligated. It goes straight to them.
Okay, you're right. That goes to taxes, though, in general.
Right.
We've all got our own fucking complaints with taxes.
For sure.
And how we don't have enough say-so in where our taxes go.
I'm frustrated in that aspect that I have to give money to something that I don't want to.
I just think that you saying that science is religion. Now, like I said at the beginning of this, I don't believe this, but if you were to say Neil deGrasse Tyson, this other famous scientist, this guy, Bill Nye, and this other dude are all in on something and they're trying to get you to believe something which is similar to a religion, that I will agree and say there's potential there. I don't believe it, but there's potential there. But when you just come out and say the words science is a religion. That just sounds ignorant.
I know you, and that's what you told me last week.
But he's being so scientific with the whole thing, it's almost frustrating me. To be a scientist is to question things, and what he is doing at his core is questioning things to the point to where he doesn't even believe it. But that is so even I'm scientific of yourself.
Like I said,
but it's just really frustrating to hear it in that manner.
Like I said,
you know what I mean?
Like
you know
I said,
what I mean?
Like I said, basic fundamentals and shit like that,
which is science.
And that sort of science, or if you want to call it science, that's fine.
That is science.
Okay, sure, whatever. The word that we believe it to be, or the word that we know it is science. Sure,
I mean, that's what the word means.
That's fine. But like I said, I just went over the things that I think that I don't believe in. And certain things are theories that I don't believe in.
I guess my thing is why? What is so hard to believe?
What do you believe in? What do you believe in that you can tell me is fact right now?
Like, you don't believe that Mars is far away from us?
I'm still looking. I have no idea.
Obviously,
you need to be grounded somewhere. You have to have some belief, but everybody's grounded, but everybody's willing to give up. Like, you should be willing to understand that you are flawed as a human being and you could be wrong about some things, but you still need to be grounded in some things, but still partially open-minded.
Yeah,
so what are some things that you're grounded in?
Well, and I'm not going to have this conversation with you guys because the words you just said are completely opposite when we have those conversations, because it's two versus one, and I'm not able to defend myself in the correct manner because I'm not grounded yet in how I feel about those things, and I haven't done the correct research, but I do have a core belief.
Dude, nobody can do the fucking research. You're only a human being. You got to hold down a job. You got to take care of a family.
For sure.
We have to have this reliant system upon the fact that we have to look back on everything, and other people are looking back on everything and actually spending a majority of their time collecting data and giving us the data. And you compare it to the other 500 fucking people that are doing the same thing, and eventually you get this general consensus of, man, this is really fucking solid
here.
Did
we go to the moon, Jesse? Did we go? Honest opinion.
I don't know. That one I don't know about.
Honest opinion. I'm just asking your honest opinion.
My honest opinion is
I don't know. Cool. Jesse, what is yours? And you've told me before.
There's a really, looking at it, there is a very, very, there's
it would make sense if we didn't.
A lot of reason for us to fucking fake it. There's a lot of reason for us to fake it. I would... Honestly, on that one, which is very against what I've said because I'm very scientific, I would say that there is probably a good 80% chance that it was faked. So I'd say 80% chance that it was faked, just for political gain.
But there's a reason there.
Okay, and you can say there's a reason. Now you're trying to defend it, and I could be wrong, but you're trying to defend why there's a reason. But can you understand why
there's so much shit? There's so much shit.
You're so beloved scientist from NASA that you love so much. You just told me there's an 80% chance in your head that you believe we didn't go to the moon.
You think that it was the scientists from NASA that wanted to fake a moon landing?
They were a part of it.
It was the government. It was politicians saying, "Hey, if you cannot get us to the fucking moon, well, we need to figure out a way to fucking fake it. Then
what happens if it's not possible?
To win this fucking Cold War?
What happens if it's not possible? They came out and said that Elon Musk even came out and said that the United States, or that NASA can't even get out of lower Earth orbit right now. So why are we funding them $50 billion or $50 million a day?
Wait, Elon Musk said that NASA can't get out of lower Earth orbit? Correct. I'd have to see that.
Correct. And I'll show it to you.
He's used satellites that NASA has sent into space before.
Right. No, he said it in one of his most recent interviews that he did. But obviously, Elon Musk can get out of lower Earth orbit because he shot the Saturn V rocket or whatever out, or whatever it was, or the Tesla rocket, all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, it's hard for me to believe in science, and that's fine that you guys call it the government. But obviously, government has influence on science and on what...
On NASA? Sure, they have an influence on NASA.
Our government has... What I'm saying is they have a very large effect on everything that we see and what we hear and what we do. So it's very hard for me to believe in these things when I see them, is what I'm saying. It's extremely hard when I can't trust my own government, when they have so much influence to do whatever the fuck that they want.
I guess my thing is
whatever way we go.
Okay, so there's a reason to fake the moon landing on a political level, because we were in a Cold War with Russia. There was a lot going on, and we could not, as like the politicians, the higher ups, could not let Russia win that. We needed that win, for a morality fucking boost. We needed that.
Kennedy said he wanted to do it at all costs. He didn't like the idea of it, but he
exactly. So we needed that. So if it, I don't know, either way, if it was faked though, there's a point there. I don't understand the point of being like, hey, the sun's this far away and it's this temperature. Oh, just kidding. It's not actually. There's no point to fake that. Like, there's no fucking ulterior motive there. There's no reason to be like, hey, Mars is a planet that's this far away. It's been this far away for this long. We've been studying for years. We still are trying to figure out like how much water's up there and all this different stuff and blah blah. There's nothing there that is like an ulterior fucking political motive that happens. And especially you're talking about like if there was some kind of ulterior motive, you're talking such a long con, such a fucking long game that even our own government I don't believe has that ability, because the long game you're talking is a span of like fucking 60 to 100 years.
Sure, and
our government's only fucking, what is it, 300 years old?
And Johnny,
less than that, 250.
And is it really truly a long game, or is it as simple as someone comes out that used to work at NASA and figured out it was all bullshit, and this is just hearsay. They figured out it was all bullshit, and they're going to come and they're going to be a whistleblower. They come out with all the things that they
figures out what's bullshit.
I'm just saying, if he figured out that, let's say, the moon wasn't as far away, or the sun wasn't as far away as they said it was.
That it's way closer.
Sure, or further away, for that matter. He has shit he's seen. He took pictures and all that. He gets on YouTube. He does it, and then people just laugh. People laugh at him and say, "No, fuck that. He's stupid. He's dumb." That's exactly what would happen.
No, what would happen?
That's exactly what would happen.
No.
Yes.
What would happen is he'd be like, "Hey, look, I just proved the sun's closer," and you know what would happen? A ton of other scientists would also try to prove that it's closer and figure it out, because that's what science is just trying to figure out things.
There would be people out there who would try and do that, yes.
Yeah, there'd be a ton of people who would try to do that.
But I think the main thing that would happen is he would get fucking laughed at. And maybe
first off, the guy who figured that out wouldn't just go to YouTube and do all this. That's not how the real world works. What would happen is he's obviously smart enough to figure something out like that.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to tell someone.
We're going to agree and disagree. That's just where it's going to come down to.
All I'm saying is, without an ulterior motive there, it makes no sense to fake any of that. There's no reason to be like, oh man, we've pretended there's 9 planets this whole time, just for shits and gigs.
I feel you, man. There's one last interesting thing I wanted to bring up, and it's, I don't know if it's gonna pop up. It should. It should pop up, man.
What you got, Jesse?
Yeah, what you got, man?
What do you mean?
I don't know. What you got? I'm just trying to fill in the dead space here while he's looking at his phone.
I don't know. I like PBR. I like my jewel.
Yeah.
I like hanging out. I like doing podcasts, man. I don't know.
Yeah, they're legit, dude.
Fill in the dead space.
No, I mean, whatever happens, and I like to keep it on small scale anyways. I like to worry about the alcohol in front of me. I like to worry about my friends and family around me. I don't worry about Mars. I let people smarter than me or people who are trying to confuse me and lead me astray worry about that kind of stuff. I'm just worried about the day-to-day, the small-scale stuff. I want to make enough money to support myself and anybody that I care about. And that's about it.
There you go.
That's all we can do. Paul, what are you looking up? It's taking 8 years over.
I know, man. I was trying to find it and I can't find it. I thought...
What was it?
I don't know where it's at, honestly, anymore.
Just what was it? We can...
Actually, I know exactly where it's at now.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah. No, it's not, like, far out there for you guys, so don't worry. But it's very interesting, to say the least. And it's a good way to send it off.
But just bring up a small version of it so I can start talking about it.
No, I'm close, sorry.
Because I feel like we're just talking about nothing at this point.
We are, you're right.
Something Johnny has never heard.
So,
God,
Donald...
I'm close. That's
a good one. Never heard.
So Donald Trump, he tweeted this, and it doesn't say the date on it, but he said, "How amazing, the state health director who verified copies of Obama's birth certificate died in a plane crash today. All others lived." So that was December 12, 2013. I never saw that tweet. I know it was so long ago.
I feel like I remember hearing about that, actually.
I think that's crazy.
A bunch of conspiracy theory people talking about that.
So I would need to look into it and see how accurate it is, if everyone else on the plane crash died, and then the guy who verified it died, or he's the only one who died in the plane crash. I think that's pretty crazy. That's just
say that again. That whole thing.
So he tweeted out on December 12, 2013. He said, "How amazing, the state health director who verified copies of Obama's birth certificate died in a plane crash today. All others lived." And I know
a lot of people died in plane crashes and shit.
Well, and there was someone who recently just...
Why was there only one person in the world who verified copies of a birth certificate?
Well, there's many, but there's another person who died in the Clinton scandal. Another one, like a high-up FBI guy who actually shot himself at a bar.
You talk about more realistic stuff. I believe our government's capable of that kind of stuff. I truly do. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what happened, but I'm just saying you want to talk about things that are believable. That's somewhat believable.
Do you think Trump's tweets are out, like, should he tweet that much as a president? I think
we've talked about this before in the sense of, is Twitter a real means of communication? We talked about this when I talked about YouTube's rights as a fucking private company, so on and so forth. We got into this, and Jesse made the point of Twitter has unfortunately become a means of fucking news and communication. The same with YouTube and Facebook and so on and so forth. I don't think it should. I think that that's a dumb way to do it. But if that's what we're evolving into, if we're like, fuck the Wall Street Journal, Twitter's the new Wall Street Journal, then that's what we've turned into, and that's fucking fine. If that's how he wants to announce news, that's how he wants to announce news. There's really, me thinking about it, talking about it myself now, I guess there's no difference between him posting something on Twitter and him making a statement that's filmed that comes out on CNN. CNN's a fucking company just like Twitter's a fucking company.
Yeah.
So honestly, I guess it's no different. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not. And I know, I mean, tweeting is easier than getting on actual television and making a, State of the Union or something like that. These are just, he tweets so much and he says outlandish stuff that piss people off. But at the same time, like, isn't that what makes us America, right?
No, I think that's a problem. I think that our president is, I think it's a joke. I think it's a laughingstock kind of situation.
But, okay, so tell me this. Have you watched any of his speeches at all?
Never all the way through, no.
Okay, so what's the longest speech you've listened to of Trump?
I've listened to like 15 minutes of his 4th of July one.
Okay, so a substantial speech. But I think I know we're not always going to agree with the president. There are going to be things we don't like.
Nobody ever does.
Right, but I think if the political system were to not be corrupt and everything that's happening is happening and it's truthful, we should give the president the time of the day and keep ourselves informed with what's going on in our own country and listen to what the president has to say, as opposed to him being in office for 3 years and only listening to one speech for 15 minutes.
Yeah, but in all fairness, I'm not being biased here. I didn't listen to fucking speeches that Obama said.
No, and I know that. I'm saying I think we should all be involved with who our president is.
I don't think it affects me that much.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't.
And Jesse and I thought that too until Obama passed the healthcare shit, and you said it didn't affect you.
That wasn't Obama though. That's that entire fucking cabinet. That's everything.
For sure, but
that could have happened if McCain got elected.
You're gonna keep having these. Oh, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. And there's gonna be a president, Johnny, that comes along, or a state legislator that comes along, and they're gonna affect you, bro. And then what's gonna happen then? What I'm saying is, we keep saying it's not affecting us. It's not affecting us, but yet each time or each year that goes by, more liberties and freedoms are taken away.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right. Every single year. It doesn't matter what president, right? Every single fucking year, regardless of the president, more liberties, more civil rights, more freedoms are taken away every fucking year without fail. Every single year, more and more is taken away. That doesn't matter. Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. Doesn't matter. More and more freedoms always taken away. The president is a fucking face. That's it. He's a face. He's a fucking public figure that gives people hope or detriment, and it's a view for other countries to view us as. It's this.
I agree. No, I agree with all of what you just said. I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were on Trump's tweeting. It evolved a little bit, and it was fun. What's up?
No, you got it.
What's up, baby fresh?
Nothing. Nothing.
Hey, so Talk Junkie shirts. I know you guys like them. I know some people want to know how to buy them. I'm actually in contact with Frog T-Shirt and Independence. I need to call them when their manager's there one day. They're going to actually set up on their website to where we can get a link to put on our on our YouTube.
That'd be dope.
Where they just click. You pick if you want a shirt, a sweater, a hoodie, all that shit. I think you'll even be able to choose size, color, and all that good stuff. And then you do have to pay shipping through them. It would be a lot easier to do that as opposed to me buying in bulk and passing them out, and I'm spending like $500 of my own money. So that's in the works. We're working on some other guests. I know that. I really can't go into
process. Yeah. I should say I really like the shirts, by the way. I haven't worn mine on the podcast yet, but I have worn it a few times. And like I went to the casino and played poker with people the other day. They're all like, "Is that you? Because if not, that's your fucking twin." And I'm like, "This is real weird." Like 3 people pointed out that I'm on my own shirt right now. I don't know how I feel about that, but they're nice shirts.
I like it.
How did you do at the casino?
I lost, but I didn't lose everything. It was weird going back, man. I haven't played poker in like 4 months.
Poker's not my game.
Poker
is for sure your game. You're good at poker. You are damn good at poker.
So we're working on the shirts, and then just want to give a shout out to Tyler because I think for the most part he did create a thumbnail for us, or he's going to create thumbnails for us for our YouTube videos. So if you guys want to check Tyler out, hit him up at tylerthurman814@gmail.com, or his Instagram's tyler.thurman.18. Both both of those will be in the description.
His art's
below.
great. I love it.
Yeah.
AKA Lil T. That's what I know him by.
Yeah.
Lil T.
So if
Keeps it real, man.
Yeah, he does. And if anyone else out there needs thumbnail work or logos made or paintings and shit like that, he's all for it. So you'll have information to get in contact with him. So that's really all I got for the podcast. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you can cap it.
Yeah, sweetie, coming for that booty.
Yeah. Go on ahead, cap it.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. Obviously, please hit the like button, hit the bell notification. Actually, you could do us a big favor and fucking share the shit out of this video on your Facebook.
I just want comments.
Twitter.
I like reading the comments once in a while. There were no comments on the last one.
I know.
I was a little disappointed.
Well, if they share it,
man.
man.
A little cryy baby-faced about it.
If everyone shares it, then that would be the ultimate way to spread the message of talk fucking junkies. So hit the like button, hit the bell notification to all our junkies out there.
Stay fly and ring the motherfucking bell.